YouTube, please subscribe to the channel, like the video and share it if you can. And for those of you listening on Spotify, Apple or any other podcasting platform, please follow and give us a 5-star review if you can. But let's get on to the Arsenal segment then. A lot of chat beforehand. Obviously Yardman and Don Robbie just got the internet going crazy about this whole Unai versus Arteta stuff. So this was a big game for us. And as I said before, I was very nervous while watching this one and before it. So very happy to say we ended up winning 2-0. A goal from Trossard and a goal from old Chargy. But I will say it was a very, very eventful game. And we definitely could have conceded at least one goal in that game. Watkins, big player in my FPL. I'm happy he didn't, but he had two very, very good chances to score. One of them Raya does well, but still he should be scoring those. So we end up getting away with the clean sheet, but really could have been different. I think, from my point of view, I will get onto you in a minute, Anne, but I think generally speaking, it was a ruthless performance. It was not a very good performance, in my opinion. I think first half we were very good on the ball, but they were pressing us really, really well. They were pressing us all together as a front line. And Leon Bailey particularly was pressing really, really well with pace, pushing on Gabriel. He ends up being the reason why Gabriel makes the mistake and the ball ends up going to Watkins, who puts it wide. And they were doing that to us constantly, right? Like we would get the ball, try and play it around, try and maybe slow down the tempo, and they would just press as a unit all in one go, almost instantly, and be within about, a meter of each of our players so quickly that we didn't really know what to do with it. And I saw, on Saliba's face a couple of times, on Gabriel's face, a lot of our defenders were getting a bit frustrated by the way that they were doing that. And even though we had a lot of the ball in the first half, we weren't really doing too much with it. And this was kind of my issue, is that we didn't really have too many shots on goal or any big chances to really talk about in that first half, because we just weren't able to get that last pass. We were getting a couple of good, those little kind of right angle passes that Odegaard does here and there, but we weren't really able to create anything of substance. Martinelli particularly was a bit stinky, and it really pains me to say that, because I've been a big fan of Martinelli now, and I've been trying to defend him against a lot of the criticism that he gets because he's so young, and because of the fact that he's obviously had a lot more competition on that side of the pitch now from Trossard and from other players, that I can understand why he's not playing quite as well. He's also obviously lost Xhaka as well, who's kind of his main partner, and that kind of left back position really bombing forward and helping him. So I want to give him the excuses, but he just was not good at all in that game. He, tried a couple of take-ons, which didn't work out very well, and he wasn't really doing too much with the ball. So that was kind of sad. But second half, we were way better. They obviously had a couple of good chances too. I think Onana hits the bar. And Raya ends up getting, like an unbelievable save of Watkins' rebound as well. But as soon as we start making some of the changes, we look so much better. Trossard coming on, the goal that he scored, and it's just becoming a regular theme now for him. He just comes on, bangs a late winner, does his little celebration, and then jogs it on. And he's really starting to push now. He's really starting to push now to be the starting left winger in that team. So I've got to give him a lot of props. I think the second goal was not... I don't want to talk about it too much. I think Partey, he gets a bit lucky that Emi Martinez doesn't save that. I think maybe 19 times out of 20, Emi Martinez pushes that over around the post or even catches it, because he didn't have that much pace on it. But in this case, I'm very happy to see Emi Martinez make a mistake. One of the biggest houses around, especially against us. I'm very happy to see him make a mistake. So second goal, not too much to write home about, but I'm happy overall with the win. I know some people are going to be saying, Villa bottled it, and that they should be doing better, and that they should have won that game. If they scored first, the game would have been so different. But I want everyone to remember last season we did this to them, right? Like they did this to us last season. Now we're doing it to them. We had the better opportunities in our 2 games against them last season, and they punished us. There's those second half performances. They punished us twice. We end up losing, getting 0 out of 6 points against them. So I don't care if they miss open goals, or whatever we need to do to win is what we need to do to win. So, all of you lot that are saying, Unai's a better manager, this doesn't matter, it's just because Watkins did this, that, and that. I don't want to hear your tears, mate. Put your violins away and leave it alone, because we got the 3 points at that Villa Park.
Yeah, no, it was. I agree with that general analysis. I probably don't have too much more to add to that, but yeah, it's just roles reversed from last season. I think especially the Emirates game, because I feel like the Villa Park game, they scored early and then they kind of just sat back and kind of tried to stifle you. So I just feel like they did a better job than you did to try and score in that game. So that one's more of a like I don't know about that one. I've seen a lot of people say both games last season you should have won. I don't know about the Villa Park one, but the Emirates one last season definitely. You had chances, you missed them, and then they kind of smash and grabbed you in the second half after some mistakes on the counter and stuff. And I feel like this game, I wouldn't say you were on the counter. I still think they were on the counter, but they had the big clear cut chances and they had the biggest chances. So I think the XG on their two chances are probably more than the all of your XG that you had the whole match. So that tells you how big those chances were. So yeah, I think because of that, it feels like you've smashed and grabbed them, even though you had more of the ball and you still did your usual Arsenal thing. I just feel like they had the big chances and they had them first, and you didn't really look like you were creating anything until that second half when Trossard comes on and he makes an instant difference. But yeah, man, I think that's a massive, massive win. Some people out here saying it's a season defining win already. I'm not sure about that, but because of the chat and because of this like weird Unai rivalry derby thing you've got going on now, I think it's a huge result. And yeah, Trossard's an interesting one. I want to get your opinion on that actually, because people are saying start him, but he's almost kind of carved out a super sub aura around him. A bit, obviously not Ole Gunnar Solskjaer level yet because he won us the Champions League, but like coming on, scoring goals, making an impact, winning games. He's kind of building that vibe. And I understand why Arteta maybe is tempted to keep him on the bench and let him come on and make an impact. But I'm guessing you were joking then. Do you really feel like you need to get him in the team now and bench Gabby Martinez, or what do you think?
No, I actually would prefer to keep going with Martinelli because I think, as you said, I think Trossard has carved out a good kind of surprise attack. I'm going to call it, where he comes on in the second half, fresh legs, really high acceleration against defenders who have just been playing against Martinelli, who's doing basically the same thing for the first half. So it's almost as if the two of them combined create a really good left winger.
Yeah,
And
it's
by
true.
splitting them up, I've seen Trossard starting for us before. He does tend to fade, and the issue that we've got with that is that if he doesn't get success or he doesn't see success in the first, let's say 15, 20 minutes of being on the ball, you're not really going to get anything new out of him. He's not going to do anything too crazy afterwards. I think Martinelli, I still would like to see him start just because I think that when it comes to like route one football and just directly attacking a wing back, he does the best job of that. And I still think, even though he's not in great form right now, he still has the ability to really challenge right backs in a very different way than Saka like challenges the left backs. And I think that kind of variety that we show is really good. And having Trossard to come on in the 50th, 60th minute, I think just really in this case, for example, where we're 0-0 with a team and probably should be losing, it just comes on to show like, okay, this is we have another dimension to us. We can go one step up now, and what you see from the first 45 minutes isn't necessarily all that you're going to see from us. And I think Trossard really does offer us that kind of next gear upwards. So I'd prefer to see Gabby start and keep having Trossard off the bench, or even have Trossard starting maybe as a striker, but not necessarily as the left winger for now. Um, but overall, yeah, no, he is making somewhat of a habit of this now, and I love to see it because efficiency. And he doesn't need to be on the pitch for very long, and he's still scoring. But anyway,
Yeah.
let's talk a little bit about one thing I want to talk about. You put it in the group chat. You said Rice and Partey were getting rinsed by old Morgan Rogers, and I want to talk a little bit about that, mate. So honestly, Morgan Rogers, take a bow. You are unbelievable. The ability that you have to dribble past players is crazy. And on multiple occasions, I saw both Partey and Rice just let you go straight past them, basically. And they didn't really have anything to do, or didn't have anything to really to throw at you to get you off the ball. You had enough strength and power to get past them, and they really couldn't catch up. And there was a couple of different times where they were countering us, where Morgan Rogers was really the reason why. So overall, it was not good. I'm going to put more of it on Partey, though, because he was in the DM position, and he's supposed to be the one that was clamping. And something that's really infuriating me, right, is it wasn't just Partey that did this. On the counter, we're in like a duel with a player, and then we just like kick out and fall on the ground and let them run past us instead of continuing to duel and at least try and jostle them off the ball. But we would like jostle them for 5 seconds. They would get a little bit of like maybe, 15 centimeters ahead of us. And then we would just like try some and fail some tackle and fall on the ground. And then he's unmarked, not contested, running forward ahead of us. And they've got like a 4-on-3. And that is really bothering me. So if Partey does that again, I'm going to be absolutely livid because he's supposed to be a defensive midfielder who's strong. He shouldn't be falling over 5 seconds into a duel. I don't care if you lose the duel, but at least like hack him down, at least put some pressure on him to try and get him to mess up the pass. Don't just like basically put in a tackle is not going to work and he is still going to be running forward. You may as well just give up and run off the pitch. So seeing that was infuriating. I'm not sure what you made of it, but that was honestly poor defending from us.
Yeah, I think it's a bit of both. I think definitely Morgan Rogers needs to take a bow. It's always interesting when you see it like a player who has a little bit of buzz around them, and then you see them do something that you didn't expect. And with Morgan Rogers, I thought he was very much like a tricky, inverted left winger cutting into the right on his right foot, and doing what we see a lot from inverted wingers and forwards these days. But it's almost like Moussa Dembele from Tottenhamish, where he was originally classed as a striker. And then he suddenly got shifted position, and you found out that he's got the unbelievable ability to carry the ball and shrug players off and just drive with it. And that's kind of who you've reminded me of. Not in terms of like running style and visually or anything like that, but just with that ability to grab the ball, dribble with it, and players all just bouncing off him because they can't stop him from driving with the ball. And it's not like he's massively physically dominating or anything like that. He's not. People comparing him to Yaya Toure, and as much as I see it, Yaya Toure, there were very obvious reasons. He was built like a brick S-house. Whereas with Morgan Rogers, he's not really. He's kind of built like the average athlete or winger that you might see. But he was just shrugging off Rice and Partey like they weren't there. And I mean, it's weird because I'm not going in on either one of Rice and Partey. But I would actually, when I look at Partey, I expect that to happen to him sometimes. I expect him because as much as he's not like, people make jokes about him looking 50 and whatever, but he's never given me like this huge vibe of like athleticism, and I never expected him to be able to like go run for run with different players and stuff like that. I've never looked at him as that kind of player, even though he sits in that DM position.
I expect him to be strong though. Like he's
no,
slow.
I expect him.
He's very
He should
slow,
be stronger than that.
but he should be bloody strong, and he's not.
Yeah, he should be stronger than that. But from what I've seen of him, I've never seen him exhibit that. So I've seen Rashford shrug him off. I've seen a few other players like do things to him that I thought, oh God, I expected Partey to be stronger, like you just said. So I don't have that expectation of Partey necessarily. I expect him to get the ball and do nice things with it, more so now than like any kind of physical dominance. But that doesn't mean he should be doing that, right? Like he should be as a DM, I believe. He should have elements of that. So it was more with Rice where I was like, gosh, bloody hell.
I've seen Rice get shoved off the ball before though. I don't consider him to be like a juggernaut. I don't know, maybe do you see him as a juggernaut? Because I saw him more as just like a crafty kind of pit bull type where he's just going to run after you for the whole 90 minutes. And it doesn't matter if you're stronger than him a couple of times because he's going to keep on running at you and he's eventually going to get the ball off you. But in this game, like he would run at Morgan Rogers, but Morgan Rogers had big enough strides to just get past him and but get into somebody else's zone where like Rice doesn't need to be there anymore. And that was the thing that was really annoying me is that he was doing this kind of Bellingham-esque, like just like takes 4 strides and he's suddenly at the bloody 18-yard box. So I'm like, how did he get there all of a sudden? And Partey's going flying that way. Rice is like trying to run after him. It looked like it was literally kids playing against a fully grown man. And I haven't seen that very often. And that Moussa Dembele um, comparison is unbelievable because that's exactly how he plays. Like he doesn't look as languid. I will say that because Moussa Dembele
Yeah,
basically
he's
never
not as
looked like he
long.
was
Yeah.
sprinting, but he had those massive strides. He would literally just be able to dodge someone off there, and just put like 3 strides on the ball, and he was already miles ahead of them, and they had no chance of getting back at him. And Morgan Rogers had that exact effect on us, and I was bricking it for Saliba and Gabriel because I kept on seeing Morgan Rogers like literally running at the two of them and them not looking left and right to see who's next to them, and I was so worried that they were going to absolutely get done over, but they didn't in the end, luckily.
Yeah, well, and the reason why I went for Morgan Rogers comparing him to Dembele was because I've seen the Bellingham ones, I've seen the Yaya Toure ones, and I don't feel like you can compare him to those players yet because I've seen more output from those players. Even Bellingham, even though Bellingham's like young in his career,
Yeah.
last season you saw enough output to be like, oh, he can do those things, and then something comes from it, a goal comes from it, an assist comes from it. Whereas obviously, I think Morgan Rogers got a bit unlucky in this game, maybe because Watkins should score, but you need to see that end product from him before I like move to that level of comparison. Whereas with Dembele, he more often than not was all about that drive, and it didn't always lead to a lot of things. Obviously, this is no Tottenham diss because I really rate him. I think he was a really good player, and he should get more plaudits. But that's the thing that Morgan Rogers needs to show, and I think he will, man. I think he's really impressive to do that to Rice and Partey. And to answer your question, yeah, I don't think of Rice as this like physical, like domineering guy. But when you see Rice get shoved off like that, the same way when I see Rodri get shoved off, which I've seen at different points, you go, bloody hell, it's not easy because they keep coming back or they've got the strength. So yeah, to see that was eye opening. I've got to be honest. I think everyone looked at that, and even though Villa lost, and even Sky interviewed him, were like, "You played well, didn't you, mate? Like, that was a blinder." It was like a coming out moment. So let's see how he goes going forward.
Yeah, it's not an easy team to break into as well, man. I'm going to say that. Like, to break into that midfield, they've got Onana, they've got Tielemans, they've got good. I'm not going to say McGinn's like a world class player, but like they've got good players in there that are somewhat fixtures of that team, and he manages to get in there and kind of push his way into the team. And I think it shows that he really does have something about him. Come to Arsenal in the future, mate. We'll have you in there, mate. We'll get you instead of Marino, mate. You can swap.
Too late.
But all right, last thing I want to talk about. Just want to give a round of applause to Ben White. Unbelievable shithousery that he did there against McGinn. And I really enjoyed him doing it against McGinn because McGinn does it to everybody else. And also because Villa have been doing this. I'm not going to say they're in the realm of Newcastle, right? They're definitely not. But I've noticed now multiple occasions Luca Digne absolutely putting things on Saka after the ball's gone, constantly fouling us. And I think it's been told to him, and I think it's a general fixture of the team that, or a tactic within the team that they can get at us and they can try and put something on us and get us upset and they can rile us up. And so it's really good to see Benny White really doing that and standing up for Saliba. And he's got unbelievable aim because every single time he kicks it at somebody, it does hit them square, either in the face or the chest or the stomach. And he never misses. Whereas I've seen multiple other players try that and completely miss it. So I've got to give him plaudits, and it was great to see Saliba. He would absolutely hammer McGinn. All right, get that bloody orc looking out of here, trying to do that to Saliba. So yeah. What did you make of anything of that? You want to add anything to that before I start ramping even more?
Nah, I feel like orc looking is a nice way to end that conversation. I think Ben White, yeah, what a legend, man. The more I see of Ben White, he just interviews, actions on the pitch, performances. He's just one of them soldiers that you want in the team. He hates football, but he's good at it, and he takes no mess. And yeah, I like him, man. So good work. I feel like our horses that we would back in that race came out victorious because yeah, I'm not a huge fan of McGinn. He's Becky Bunda, Bunda Becky or whatever you want to call him. And yeah, against Saliba, who I like, and obviously Ben White, who's top. So happy days, and yeah, take that.
And that also, this match also puts to bed the fact that Arteta is a better manager than Unai Emery. So let's move on swiftly.
You cheeky git.
Anyway,
let's move on.
We'll leave that one. Don't clip that up.